Moai statues, the mystery of Easter Island. Welcome to this exciting video, where we will dive together into one of history's biggest mysteries, the Moai statues of Easter Island, also known as Easter Island. But what makes these statues so interesting? And how did the Easter Islanders manage to create these massive statues and transport them across the island? Let's discover together one of the greatest mysteries in the world. In the heart of the Pacific Ocean, there is an isolated island called Easter Island, or as it is called, Easter Island, belonging to the state of Chile. The island, which was known in ancient times as Rapa Nui. It is home to giant Moai statues, which are said to represent ancestors or spiritual leaders. But to this day, there are still many questions about how these massive statues were made, why they were built, and how they were transported across the island. The Moai statues are not just ordinary statues, they are relics of an ancient civilization called the Rapa Nui civilization. These statues were built around the 15th century, more than 500 years ago. These statues were made from volcanic rock found on Easter Island itself. Although the Moai statues often feature large heads with relatively small bodies, their large size and the clear details of their faces make them the center of attention. Some of these statues are 10 meters high and can weigh over 80 tons. Some believe that these statues represent ancestors or tribal leaders who were seen as having spiritual powers that protected the island. But the big question remains, how could these primitive people who lived in that era have transported these huge statues? One of the biggest mysteries surrounding the Moai statues is how they were transported across the island. Easter Island is not only isolated, it is also rocky and barren, making transportation even more difficult. How did the islanders, who did not have advanced machines or wheels, move these huge blocks of stone from the quarries to the sites where they were displayed? Initially, there were hypotheses that the statues were transported using boats or wooden wheels, but recent studies reveal something amazing. Recently, scientists have discovered an amazing theory called walking theory. Yes, walking! Researchers believe that the islanders used ropes in a complex tactic to lift the statues and make them walk across the island. Using sophisticated rope and support techniques, they would pull the statues step by step, making them move in a walking-like manner. But what was the function of these statues? The Moai were not just huge statues, they were powerful spiritual forces for the Easter Islanders. They were believed to carry the spirits of ancestors and protect the island from outside threats. What is interesting is that these statues were oriented towards the interior of the island, while the facade was facing the sea. This indicates that the islanders looked to their ancestors to protect them from the dangers that might come from the sea. There is no doubt that the environment played a major role in the development of the Rapa Nui civilization. In ancient times, Easter Island was rich in dense forests, but the excessive use of natural resources, especially trees, led to the destruction of the environment. It is believed that the cutting down of trees for use in building houses and making statues contributed to the destruction of forests and environmental degradation on the island. With resources running low, the Rapa Nui civilization began to collapse, and it became difficult to maintain the statues. Eventually, civil wars and environmental pressures destroyed many of the Moai statues. By the 19th century, many statues had fallen or were deliberately destroyed. The statues were part of the ancient Rapa Nui culture, and as that culture collapsed, statue building declined. But the Moai statues remain a powerful symbol of the island and the history of its people. To this day, the Moai statues of Easter Island remain one of history's greatest mysteries. As research progresses, we have learned more about how the statues were built and transported, but much remains mysterious about the cultural and historical function of the statues. Easter Island is a living museum of ancient mysteries, where these giant statues still tell us about the greatness of the Rapa Nui civilization. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing historical mysteries.